Welcome back. Well, yes, continuing on that subject matter of the conflicting court orders, we've got Mr. John Aikpopo Martins, who is the first vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, who joins us this morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program.
Good morning.
Well, we've seen the statement from the NBA, and part of it did say that as the prime defender of the integrity and independence of the judiciary, the NBA cannot and will not be a spectator whilst our hard-earned democracy is threatened by the venal acts of a few. So what is the thinking of the NBA in terms of how to address this problem?
Thank you very much. In that statement, the NBA made two very important points therein. The first is within the profession, within the bar, and the second has to do with the bench. The bar has to do with the lawyers, where the NBA said that we may have to put into process our disciplinary process with respect to lawyers, particularly senior lawyers, who are involved in the filing of these cases in several jurisdictions, of course, in Nigeria, that has resulted into these conflicting orders of court, and that is giving the legal profession and the courts of justice a bad name. That is the first, that the NBA is really now willing to take up these disciplinary measures against erring lawyers. Then the second is to visit the CJN, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Judicial Council, because the Nigerian Judicial Council is in charge of the bench, that means the judges. NBA, we don't have a jurisdiction over them, we can't do anything. Therefore, it's our duty to ensure that we visit the proper body responsible for the discipline of judges, which is the NJC, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who is the chairman of that body, to interact with him on the need to put the judges who are involved in all these frivolous or conflicting orders under check. So those are the two issues that, or the two areas that the NBA wants to go, and that's the area that we can actually go beyond making a statement.
You know, this is not new. This action of which the CJN is concerned, and then the NBA equally concerned, because we do remember that in 2011, then chairman of INEC did reach out to the CJN saying, look, all of these ex-parte orders that judges just gave just like that, it's a huge challenge. So it's been on for a while. How confident is the NBA that this time around, this may just be addressed and then it becomes history?
Well, it's a matter of the will on the part of the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association and the leadership of the NJC to ensure and put through the points they have been making. It is true that this thing has been on for a long time, but probably in 2011, we had a different leadership of Nigerian Bar Association at that time. I don't know what they did at that time, but I can't remember anything was actually done. And at that time, too, we had a different Chief Justice of Nigeria. So now you have two different leadership driving the two arms of the legal profession, i.e. the bench and the bar. For us at the Nigerian Bar Association, the will is there, and we are ready at this time to ensure that this malaise is put to an end. If you recall, there was these issues that arose from the Anambra governorship election, where there were also conflicting orders, and a justice of the Court of Appeal had to make a very strong suggestion on the need to discipline the parties or the lawyers involved. And from that point to pick it up, I remember that the NBA, we sent messages around that, see, some of these cases we are not involved, but lawyers are involved. If we can be availed with the processes, because it is very easy to say they are conflicting orders or what are fine, but it is extremely necessary to look at the processes to see really what was put before the judge before we can arrive at a holistic admonition that indeed the orders ought not to have been given. So we have actually put out a subtle message before that we need to have those processes so that we look at it critically and do the needful, but that was not done. But now that this particular one has come up, because the trending issue now that there was an order from the Dagama High Court, there was an order from Benekebi High Court, there's an order again from a court in Cross River, all on the same issue. And it's not that the others are confused that is really the initiating, but that expiatory orders were given in such a way as to as final orders. Like the leadership was saying just now, injunctions are granted or to restrain an act from taking place. How do you restrain the chairman of a party who has been the chairman of a party for more than 2-3 years, who was lawfully elected and his election was never contested, and all of a sudden the court is saying that you are no longer the chairman of that party? It goes beyond just an order. There's something I really don't want to say on TV, but there's something that is not too good about it, and that's the reason why at this stage the NBA needs to do something, and that's the reason that statement was put out. But it took some time for the president to make that statement, because we wanted to be sure, we wanted to see exactly what was going on, and we are now extremely very sure that things that are not supposed to be are not happening right in the legal profession, and it's our duty as defender of what we call it now, the bench, to ensure that these acts are put to stop immediately, or else the democracy, the whole country might just grind to halt and might collapse on our heads.
But you know, even last year, Honorable Justice Soho did also issue that circular reminding them that, look, this is a matter that had been previously talked about, and then how come it's still going on? And do you think that perhaps there might have been a weakness previously within the disciplinary procedure, and that is why these things go on?
Well, if I want to tell you where these issues are coming from, it's not just disciplinary procedure. It's also an appointment procedure. And when we were the last strike by JUSUN, when this issue of judicial autonomy was being discussed, I was asked this question severally on TV as to why are the governors interested in not giving the judiciary autonomy, and most people don't look back to that issue. And I said that, and I'm saying it again now, that the appointment of judges has a lot to do with what is going on in the judiciary. Because if you owe your appointment to a godfather somewhere, i.e. a governor somewhere, when that governor needs your attention and he brings a case before your court, you are going to grant him what he wants. So we have to go back to the appointment of judges. The process of appointment of judges must be seriously overhauled in this country, or else we are just talking and go back. And the funny thing is that these judges that are in the High Court are also the judges that are being appointed to the Court of Appeal. So you find out that where there are 3 or 4 judges that have been appointed in another hand way from the state high courts, and they get to the Court of Appeal, that hegemony is perpetuated for a very long time. So this problem goes beyond discipline. Now, why the question you ask, why are they not properly disciplined? If you recall, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association made a statement some time ago that he was at the NJC for the appointment of judges of the Court of Appeal, and he was very shocked to see the type of person that will be appointed. Again, those persons who have been appointed, the persons who are appointing them in the Nigerian Judicial Council are their godfather. So when this matter comes before them for discipline, they sort of sweep these matters under the carpet. So you find out that this issue of appointment of judges, who are the persons who are occupying the disciplinary body, i.e. the NJC itself, must be critically looked at. If not looked at, we are just bouncing around the same problem. It will recall. What we're going to have different actors, but the same issues over and over again. So the appointment of judges, those who constitute the body of the NJC, which is the different body, must be looked at holistically, or else we are saying the same thing over and over again. 15 years down the line, we should be saying the same thing.
Well, you know, that is a matter which we've consistently highlighted. But how is the NBA planning to approach that?
Well, this, first and foremost, the NBA is, if you look at the Constitution, our representative in the Nigerian Judicial Council can only speak when the issue of appointment is being discussed. But when the issue of discipline is being discussed, they don't allow them to speak. So first and foremost, we find out that the NBA does not have a say on the discipline of judges, because it's a constitutional issue. So now that we are in the process of amendment, we have made our suggestion to the Constitutional Amendment Committee of the National Assembly on the need to look at the constitution of the NJC, and at the state level, the Judicial Service Commission of the JSC of the several states. But if the National Assembly, if they cannot see what we are seeing, then this problem will remain. So it needs, first and foremost, it needs constitutional amendment to be able to have an answer to this issue. The only thing we can do is to advocate, and we have been advocating. Now, one other thing I think the NBA should do is the fact that we have one of the major issues in Nigeria is that now we are complaining about the conflicting or the dangerous orders from the Benin Kebbi, from the Tegema, and from the Cross River. Now, nobody is petitioning. That is a major issue. Now, if nobody petitions the NJC, how is NJC going to sit over the issues at the end of the day? So, you find out that the NJC itself, they also need to have the petitions before them. And I think the role NBA can play here is for the NBA itself to take upon itself to petition these judges. And that is the next step we are going to look at to ensure that these issues will not go on and on. Despite the fact that we may not be able to we may not be able to influence exactly how they are disciplined, but at least we can put petitions before the NJC. Then, as with respect to the lawyers who are involved, I want to say this over and over again. The judges are just 30% of the problem. To me, I believe the lawyers are 70% of the problem. Because when the clients brief you, it is your duty to inform and advise that client properly. So when your client says, "Look, I need an injunction by all means," it is your duty to tell that your client, for example, in the case I went to Benin Kebbi, look, there is an issue already in Degema. Why not go and let us go and file or defend that case properly instead of going to Kebbi State to get another order? Then from Kebbi, they went to Uyo to get another order. It takes a lawyer to prepare processes. It takes a lawyer to put those processes before the judge. Forget that the judge also have the right to look at it. Let's not look at the judge side. I want to look at the lawyer side from now. So if the lawyers are not preparing processes, and who are the lawyers drafting the orders? But usually the judges don't draft the orders. They grant orders as couched and by lawyers on the processes. So if lawyers know, you know very well, extremely very well, that the same subject matter, the same parties, the same purpose is to be served in Degema, why not go to Benin Kebbi and put the judge under pressure by filing the processes before him? So those are the issues. So the lawyers themselves, we are going to look, the president has said in his statement that we are going to look critically at that. I'll be very sure in a few days or weeks from now, we are going to take these actions up, but there need to be a shift on how we have been doing things for Nigeria to move forward. Because we owe this country a duty to ensure that this country does not collapse on our head. And the way we are going, it is sure that we are getting close. Because for the first time during this NSAS riot, courts were invaded and burnt down. That's the first time I heard that in Nigeria, that there was a riot or demonstration that the public, the mob, have to go to court houses. It shows that the people are saying that there's no justice in Nigeria. And when the judges and the lawyers are telling the world,
I mean, some of the questions you raised are questions a lot of Nigerians are asking as well, and they'll look to the NBA and, of course, the NJC to get answers to those questions. I mean, why do we keep having these issues? But you spoke about petition, and I'll first like to explore that. I mean, when you say there's no justice in Nigeria, some will question you, especially being a legal practitioner. I mean, you've sought justice for clients, I believe. So perhaps you might want to contextualize that. But in terms of the petitions, I recall last year, you recall the APC actually had this same issues with the former chairman, Adams Oshiomhole, a particular court order telling him to step aside less than 24 hours after another court in Kano, saying that they should even get security to take him back to office. So that was also an issue. And I recall that at that time, a particular legal practitioner, Andrew Mwata, actually petitioned the NJC concerning the one in Kano, I think Justice Alagoa. And perhaps that's somewhere to start from. I don't know if that particular petition was vacated, but really, what should be the process when, these petitions are put up to the NJC? Should it just happen behind the scenes? Aren't people meant to know what came out of it, except it was vacated? What do you think?
Yes, first of all, I didn't say there's no justice in Nigeria. I say people's perception is that there's no justice in Nigeria. That's why courts were pondering that. Now, on the issue of the dictionary issues in NJC, for example, as the Oshiomhole's issue as a case study, like I said before, the appointment into that body, the NJC, has to be overhauled. Because, like I said, and I want to repeat it, that if we have godfathers in the system, and these petitions come before the godfather, whether in the NJC or wherever, what is going to be the likely outcome of those petitions? Now, in a situation where it's a national issue, what we have expected that petition will be treated with dispatch, so that the country will know exactly that the disciplinary body has actually done its job and give confidence that the system works. But when a petition has been filed against a judge, it takes 3 years to resolve. Then people forget, and the perception that remains is that nothing was done. And I want to put the question. I want to throw that challenge back to the press. The press in Nigeria, they seem to forget issues. When an issue is trending, they take it up, and the next thing they forget about it. They never go back to do a retrospection to say what happened in that matter and bring it up again for discussion, thereby putting the persons who want to bury that issue, putting them under pressure. But you seem to forget is that everybody just move ahead. That is one. Two, the Nigerians just seem to have a way of letting
just a moment, Mr. Popo Martins. I mean, on that particular one, I mean, you should thank us for at least reminding you of that particular petition, which may have been forgotten. So I think to that extent, there should be some commendation because it seems to have been forgotten, but we brought it to you to remind you.
Yes, what I'm saying now that I cannot recall that anything happened in that petition because first and foremost, I'm an individual person, I'm a private person. It takes the press usually to let us know what is happening or what is happening in several places. But that matter has not been taken up by the pressmen. So for us, we have no information. The NJC does not report to the NBA. When they discipline a judge, they don't send us a copy of their decision. So except the press reports it, we will not know. That is one. Then second, on the issue of disciplinary bodies of Nigeria, the LPDC, let me give an example. The LPDC disciplines a lawyer, but most people believe that it's NBA that disciplines lawyers. NBA does not discipline lawyers. It's a legal practitioner disciplinary committee that disciplines lawyer. Now, when petitions are sent to these bodies, what happens? It takes a very long time for this petition to be treated. So, and people have this belief that the NBA is protecting its members. Let me give a classic example. When the chairman of what do you call it, tribunal now?
CCT, the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Yes, when he had that altercation with somebody, a private citizen in the Barnes Plaza, it took myself and the welfare secretary of Nigerian Bar Association to write petitions. Since April, we wrote that petition. Till now, we have not had a feedback. We have written back to say, look, this matter is a matter of national importance. People want to know exactly what has happened to this man. What has happened? Up to now, we have not had a feedback. So, in fact, that the disciplinary mechanism in the profession, to the best of for my own person, it is not working at full speed to ensure that the persons or the persons involved or the public are aware of the fact that when there is a transgression by a lawyer or a judge, that there is punishment, or sanctions follow. So that is something the legal profession has to work on, i.e. the NJC and the Legal Practitioners Act, to ensure that when this petition, particularly the ones that have national coloration, that they are treated with dispatch, so that persons will know that if any man or any lawyer or judge who misbehaves can be sanctioned. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that at the end of the day, this thing just go on, and everybody seems to forget. And I want to again use this opportunity to say, look, pressmen, always ensure that at some time go back and pick up these issues again and trend these issues again, so that the persons who are responsible for discipline are put under pressure.
Well, I was thinking you say pressmen should take the matter to court as well. I mean, there's as much as we can do. We report the issues, put it out there, and of course, we'll look forward to the lawyers, legal practitioners to pick it up. But I mean, challenge taken. But let's talk about this invitation now to an emergency meeting. So we're expecting the Chief Judges of Rivers, Kebbi, Cross River, Anambra, Jigawa, and Imo State. Some will say, what about the ones in the past? For example, the one in Kano, which I referenced with the APC matter and the rest. And some would even say it dates back to 1985. But maybe that's a matter for another day. But what kind of action are you expecting? I remember the senior advocate we had earlier saying that there's a thin line between interference and what's the other one he said? But the point is, how do you expect this to be handled such that it serves as a deterrence? And just like you said, so we don't keep discussing this in the next 15 years. I mean, from 1985, 1993, last year, this year, we keep having the same issue. So what kind of action are you expecting from the NJC this time around?
Yes, I listened to the narrative and I agree with all the submissions. The CJN does not have the power to call judges to come on issues that are pending before them. That is Osavaris' powers, and that will look at interference. But if you look at this case, the CJN did not invite the judges. He invited the chief judges of the states where these things happened. So there's a difference. So I think it is proper to invite them for, it's like, let's have a meeting. Let's put this in perspective. What is going on? What are you doing to curtail what is going on in your jurisdiction? Because in Nigeria, by the constitution, every state judiciary is independent of the federal judiciary, that's even the CJN, and is independent of another state. So a court in Degema, for example, in Rivers State, is not expected to know what a court in Cross River is doing, and it's not bound by the judgment or the orders of a coordinate jurisdiction of another state, because they have equal footing. So what he has done is what I call an advisory meeting. Let's put our head together. What is going on? And I think it's proper in the circumstances of this case, since he didn't call the judges themselves. Then the NJC, in this case, I don't wish that they have to wait for a petition to come. I think the NJC on its own generate a query to the judges to come and explain why they have to give such ex parte orders. For me, it's not granting ex parte order that is my problem, because if you don't grant ex parte orders, there will be chaos too. But it's the nature of and the type of ex parte orders they gave. There was no urgency in the matter, number one. Number two, the ex parte order was not to preserve, but rather was to spoil, was to put one party who was not even in the position of power in power. How can you say that a chairman who has been acting, I keep using that word, who has been in his office, who has been occupying his office, all of a sudden you just make another that is hereby removed, should no longer parade himself? That is not an interim order. That is not an injunction. That is a final order per se, and that is initiating, with due respect to the judge who gave that order. We have to say it the way it is. So it is not granting ex parte orders per se that is the issue. It's the nature of the ex parte order given, because that order given settled the cases finally, and the right.
Okay, but Mr. Martins, if I could just ask you, when you say that the judge in this zone or this state is not expected to know what's happening in this other court, so is that to suggest that that's an excuse, or what if they then cite that, well, there's no way I can know? How is that still tenable? Because I think it's been mentioned at some point in some judicial fora that they need to know what is going on in other places.
Let me put it like this. You see, we are lawyers and we act on technicalities, and that is the fault of the profession. Every lawyer, the fact that we are acting on technicality does not mean that we don't know what we are doing. Let me give an example. For the judge in Benin-Kebbi, obviously must have been informed that there is a matter in, when I say informed and not by the processes before him, maybe he read it from news or whatever, that such an order was granted in Degema High Court, stopping the chairman of the party from parading himself. If you look at the order he granted, he said it is for him to continue in office. That word continue means that he knew that he had been put away, so he was trying to return him. So he had the knowledge. But if you take him before the NJC now, what's going to be his defense? He will say, first and foremost, I am in Benin-Kebbi, I am not in Rivers State. One. Secondly, the process before me did not mention, and I'm very sure the lawyers who have done that, they will not say in the processes before him, in the affidavit in support of the order, that such an order has been granted in Degema High Court, or such a case is pending before the High Court. By law, you don't expect that judge on his own to fish for facts. It is not done. But having regard to the fact that we are all Nigerians, and if we are Nigerians and we owe this country a duty, he ought to have known from the outside world. All he needed to do was to say, okay, instead of granting the order, he said, put them on notice. Let's come and argue before me. It's not for him to have gone forward. So technically, he will have a defense. I must tell you that. Technically, because we have not seen the processes, but I am very sure that.
All right, I should wind down on this now. When you say, the CJN inviting the CJs in those states, respective states, is he suggesting or is he holding the CJs responsible? Because CJs assign the cases to the judges and they tell you, well, the judges are solely responsible for their cases.
No, naturally, we don't know why he's going to discuss with them. So I don't want to speculate.
No, not that you have to speculate. Oh, are you still there? Oh dear. I think we lost him, but Okay. Well, not just trying to speculate, because I mean the lawyers will always say, look, the CJs, when they get to such cases, they assign the cases to the judges. So if you invite the CJs, there's the limit to what the CJs can do. If they tell you, well, I only assign the cases, I'm not responsible, though. So what then happens to the judges? So if they can't invite the judges because the cases are on. All right, Mr. Ikpokpo, let's wind down on this one. I was just making the point saying that isn't there a limit to what the CJN can tell the CJs if the CJs say, I only assign the cases to the judges?
Naturally, the CJs from these various states will say, I am personally not involved. The judge that gave the order, I don't know why I don't give the order. Let's look at the processes, or the petitions can be written against them. But that is, I don't think that is the purpose why the CJN is calling them. It is for, they do an introspection. Let the bench itself have to sit down and talk to themselves. Obviously, that was what I think is the CJN called them for, because it does not have the power as a CJN to discipline any judge or to interfere in any
question
that is pending before it comes.
One more thing before we go. Can the judges in question be dismissed as at least an ultimate point to make to deter others?
Well, I will not say whether they can be dismissed or not, because it has to follow a process. There must be petition against them. The agency will have to try them, and if they are found guilty, then the agency should do the needful, either by way of dismissal or any other sanction. But as a person, if I were to sit in judgment over them and I look at the process and I find them liable for what they have done, it's a dismissal.
So one wonders how that will happen given the way judges are appointed, which you raised. So I guess we'll wait and see. But we do thank you for your time this morning, Mr. John Ikpokpo Martins, the first Vice President of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
All right, then.